Oh boy, time for some Alright, I got my PJs on. Now, it's time to watch some Diary of a Wimpy. Who the fuck is that? Hi, I'm Greg Heffley, and I'm a diagnosed psychopath. Yo, what's up, my fellow wimps? Today I'm gonna be talking about this parody that was discovered to me. It's a Diary of a Wimpy Kid freshman year, which I think is probably a peak parody movie. Not made by professionals, no. Made by high schoolers. That's awesome. And of course, I want to tell the crazy story on how I discovered this. It got recommended to me on YouTube. So yeah, that's the whole story. Roll the credits. The crazy thing about this is that this movie has an unreal amount of detail to it, to where like whenever they make a joke or someone says something, it actually somehow reoccurs later on in it. And I mean, that's a very basic thing for like general movies, but the idea that they did that instead of just having... Anyways, I think we should actually get into it because I make these intros way too long. Boom, I'm in the dark now. I'm also at my desk. To basically put this, I don't want it to be like a reaction video. It's going to be more of a commentary, but you know, I'm going to kind of be blurring the line between that. So in the beginning, it's just kind of like the main guy that I guess directed and just made the video is basically explaining how, you know, there's all these things about it. Honestly, it doesn't matter. It has no... And I fucked up. Okay. I clicked a button on my remote and now everything's going to hell. And my phone is dying. This is horrible. Now, why am I at Netflix? God damn it, why are you red? Start off with Jeff Kinney, looking just really rough. He looks like he beats his wife on Wednesdays, Whiskey Wednesday, and basically gets his house egged by a bunch of shitters. And he gets a little letter saying how he got evicted. Yeah. Also, you know, he got a letter from some like fan or whatever, you know, that's not really important. Either way, he goes into his house, you know, sipping that brewski, you know, just chilling as he's about to get evicted, and decides, you know what, I should start Diary of a Wimpy Kid, because what happened to them? They've been in middle school forever. What happens if they go to high school, be freshmen? And now we actually start off with the story with Greg Heffley. Now, at the beginning, you don't really know what's going to be happening, but with my foresight, I know that he's going to do completely innamed apeshit psychopathic things in this movie, which honestly I completely support, because when it comes down to it, that is entirely accurate to the books. I'm really glad that they showed his psychopathic tendencies in this movie, so that is a good touch of detail. But honestly, the whole beginning is almost like an actual Diary of a Wimpy Kid book. There's really no funny things happening, but to put it simply, Greg is starting his new, you know, high school. He's starting being a freshman. His brother Roderick is still living there because he never went to college, and basically he's starting his day at high school. He hasn't seen Rowley in a while, like the whole summer, and now he's at the school. And then this is kind of where the main plot actually kind of happens, where basically he runs into Rowley, and he looks different. He looks like, you know, a person that actually is in high school. And of course, Greg is surprised, you know, oh my god, it's been like all week and all summer. And basically, he's like, oh dude, you look way different. That's super cool. And then basically, he just starts talking to Ferger, basically about, hey, let's throw a house party. And then without really Greg's consent for some reason, they just throw it at his house, which honestly is awesome. I think that's epic. Remember, kids, start a party at your friend's house. I asked my friend if I could do that. What would he do if I started a party at his house? He said he'd murder me in front of everyone. So, anyways, now I think it's time that we get into the fun stuff, because this is where all the funny things happen, because everything else was honestly kind of good. Like, I liked the beginning because it really does remind you of a real Wimpy Kid movie, but now it starts to become more of a parody after this, and I think that's where the funniest shit happens. We get Rowley's signature catchphrase, "Zooey Mama." That's so funny. And then what proceeds to happen is Fregel and Greg decide to have a nice moment of chatting in the kitchen, and as they start talking, they realize, damn, he's kind of hot. I don't actually know why they did that, but I think it's really it really caught me off guard whenever I watched it, and I thought it was really funny. And they proceed to go in a closet, and then they make out. But while that happens, the cops are called, and they have to deal with the cops. As Gregel and Freg are basically, just rubbing up on each other. Don't know why they do that. And then two people proceed to go in and then have a belt. Some fun things are going to be happening. What ends up happening is basically the party goes wild. Whenever they figure out that the cops, which for some reason was made public by Kermit the Frog, he's there, they just go wild. They start. So everything went wrong. My mic died, my phone died, literally everything died. This stuff was messing up. It went horrible. Either way, what ended up happening is everything went fucking wild. Everyone started freaking out, running. There was, for some reason, this guy, there was like this chunk of the wall just missing. And it was just like, I don't know why it was built like that, but just some guy was in there. And I thought that was super funny. That was probably the funniest thing to me in this whole thing. And then Greg goes ahead and completely fails at cleaning the house. He ends up just grabbing the trash, throwing it on the ground, and sometimes it hits the trash bag, and then proceeds to just throw the trash bag in the bathroom. But the cop answers, and he basically straight up says, hey, your family's dead. They're dead. They're dead. That caught me off guard because I was like, oh, I didn't know it was like one of those parodies. But honestly, I don't even want to explain. I don't want to explain the whole detail of it. Yeah, I'll just let the clip play.
Mr. Heffley, I regret to inform you that your family has tragically passed away in a car accident.
What? What happened?
It was a dark and stormy night. By the time your family arrived at Grandma's house to pick up Manny, it was already far too late. After spending a full week observing the woman's smoking habit, Manny could not help but fall deep into his own crippling nicotine addiction. He smoked 15 packs in the car as they drove home, and over the course of 3 hours, your entire family developed an extremely rare form of lung cancer, causing your father to die at the wheel, leading the flaming car off of a cliff and into a river filled with hungry piranhas. I'm so sorry.
I can't believe this is happening.
Did the clip play? Did it play? Another great joke that I like in this is that whenever the cop says, hey, since your parents are dead, do you have a place to live? And he's like, I wouldn't want my grandma. And then Rowley comes out of nowhere and says, he's staying with me. He ends up crying more than he did whenever he was told that his parents died. And I think that's very funny. But what ends up happening is that now Greg has herpes or AIDS. They call it cheese touch, but I don't know. And then this becomes a reoccurring thing. Literally every character from here on out that you see has the cheese touch. Or the herpes, whichever way you want to call it. At some point, they go to the funeral. Not the funeral. They go to the gravestone of Greg's family. And basically just stands there for a little bit. And then boom, fucking Roderick comes back. Roderick. Either way, he's back and he came from hell. He literally came from hell. And he said that apparently Satan dropped him down just so he could make Greg do evil things. And there's also at random points where his hair will catch on fire, and I think that's very cool. So what ends up happening is Roderick and Greg basically keep on going around and basically torturing Rowley this entire time. They just torture him. They also end up killing his fucking parent. They murder his parents with a ceiling fan. That's awesome. They also puke on his car and then also blow up his car with him in it. And they also constantly try to beat him to death with a sledgehammer. Both of them constantly, which is oof. So obviously, this movie is peak cinema. It's just cinema. But at some point, whenever the torture ends, Greg basically sees Rowley in the fucking he sees him. God, basically sees him on the street and basically just makes fun of him. Not even in his face, just a few feet away, where he basically just starts insulting him with Roderick. I don't know why he's doing that. He's homeless too, mind you. He's homeless too, but he's making fun of him, and even Roderick points that out, which I think is funny. but it's whatever. After that, you know, Greg basically becomes addicted to gambling and starts playing with some random guys and basically just starts playing poker. And he cheats with Roderick because of course he does. But basically he stays there and just starts. Okay, it's on. He basically just starts making fun of Rowley with the rest of the gang, and they just basically start agreeing with him. And they're like, "Hey guys, let's beat him up. Let's beat him up." And so then they basically go to the courtyard and literally just start bullying him for having pimples, even though like later on it's revealed that literally all of them have it, but they're just hiding it with band-aids and mask and random things. So that's cool. What ends up happening is Fregel basically comes back and literally is like, "Greg, this isn't like you. I'm pregnant. Preg or not, I am pregnant." And that's like, I watched this on my own at first, and I thought like, wow, that's fucking hilarious. Why is this happening? And then I watched it with my friend. We both stared at each other in total confusion because, of course, he watched this for the first time and he was like, "What the fuck is happening?" But basically, what ends up happening is Fregget basically goes ahead and convinces Greg that this is not you. Don't be evil. And then what ends up happening is Roderick literally stabs him. He stabs him in the back. And what ends up happening is the gang grabs a bunch of crosses, points it at Roderick, and then expels him from this living earth. This is peak cinema. This is peak. This is better than The Exorcist. They basically all celebrate, and then they also see that Fregel is not dead, actually, and apparently he has a cure to the cheese touch. Or AIDS, whichever one you want to call it still. And turns out this is a reference from like whenever they were in the closet, don't mention it, where basically he says like, "Dude, I can listen to you talking about pharmacy stuff all day." He literally mentioned from all the way back then how he wanted to go into pharmacy, and then he made a cure for the cheese touch. And that's what I was mentioning, is for some reason, they just have all these reoccurring jokes, and then they make sense later on. That's awesome. And that's basically where it ends. Greg is in a homeless shelter, and yeah, I mean, that's really it. That's kind of the whole story. It's a masterpiece, right?
So, what does this mean? Well, you just watched the best parody video ever made on YouTube. That's what this means. I would also like to mention that the people that made this also have like a behind the scenes video, which I thought was pretty funny, and another one where basically they have the entire like parody movie, but what they did is that they had every first take. So basically, most things, whenever you have the first take, it doesn't work. So they have all the bloopers. And what they did is that they made the entire movie out of the first take blooper. And I thought that was amazing. Like, I watched it, I thought it was super funny. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be linking, obviously, the original thing in the description, as well as the bloopers and the behind the scenes stuff. So if you want to go watch it, you can go watch it from the description and all that stuff. And yeah, I mean, really, when it comes down to it, that's kind of it. With me, I want to find more funny things to watch and also think of more concepts to commentate and talk about, because I have been really enjoying this new type of style that requires more effort in editing and allows me to show my type of humor and to figure out what I think can be funny in a cool visual gag. So I'm glad that people have been liking these videos more and have been getting the most views on my channel so far. So yeah, if you really like this video, please share it. It's really needed. Liking, commenting, all that stuff. And I totally recommend for you to comment your ideas, because I always need more ideas. I always like having more and more and using them and all that stuff. So yeah, really, I think that's kind of it. I have no real other idea for the end of this video, so it's just kind of whatever. So yeah.